Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mary. We'll now move on to item 3 on the agenda, the adoption of the agenda. Danitza says everything's in order, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda of Wednesday, December the 13th as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Vanderbilt, seconded by Ana Doan to accept the agenda for Wednesday, December the 13th as presented. Discussion?
Questions?
Objections? Motion carried. We'll now move on to the call to the public. Karina, you have any slips for call to the public?
No.
Okay, let's move on to item number 5, discussion items. Number 1, acceptance of letter of resignation for Mr. Jerry Smith to the library board. It seemed Danitza told me that there were 2 members of the board that wanted to meet with her to discuss whatever issue of the resignation of Jerry Smith. I asked the city attorney, Mr. Machado, to be present at this meeting in case there's any concern, so he could handle any kind of those questions. So this time, are there any questions on this letter of resignation?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thank you. Not a question per se. As we commented at our previous meeting, when we had the resignation of Ms. Marva Thwaites, we were going to write a letter of appreciation to Marva. I don't know if that's been done. If not, it should be done. And we should also have a letter of appreciation to Mr. Jerry Smith.
Correct. That is scheduled for next month. And a plaque.
Thank you.
And they are both being asked to be present.
And I am one of those members, at least one. I myself have asked to meet with Ms. Lopez to find out more about the cause for his resignation. So that'll be a conversation she and I can have.
Okay. Mr. Machado, can you help me here? I just want to make sure, Mr. Vanderbilt said that I have a concern about the letter of resignation. It has to do with personnel issues with city work employees. And we as a member having those kind of conversations with the department head, my past practices have been that that's not our role to be involved in things like that. So could you help clarify that for me, please? Thank you. Mr. Machado? Mr. Machado? Yeah, please. Yes.
The role of the library board is.
You're used to sitting here.
Yeah, you're right. The role of the library board is purely advisory. The management and day-to-day operations are that of the library director. The staff and the director are subject to the personnel manuals and rules and regulations of the city of Nogales. Okay. Now, having said that, and because of that, then the board itself works through the library director. So if you have any questions regarding operation, personnel, all that stuff, everything should be directed through the library director. Now, that doesn't mean that individuals cannot talk to personnel, but not as a board member doing board work. If there's an issue, it should be taken through the library director, who may then also involve the particular personnel that is at question. Does that answer the question? I'm not. I know there was a problem, but I've not been told the particulars of that problem. So generally, that's how it works.
I think the general concept is for everybody to understand the general concept. We don't want to deal with individual. That should be private because it involves.
You can, according to your own bylaws, that is prohibited. You are specifically an advisory group, and specifically in the bylaws, it says that the management and director and directing of personnel belongs to the director, which is governed by the rules and personnel manual of the city of Nogales. Correct. But again, I want to emphasize, that doesn't mean that the board cannot talk and should talk to the director because you're the advisory board and you as individual members can talk to the director. You cannot, as individuals, you cannot go in and say, the board wants this done or the board wants this done because you act as a collective body in those types of decisions. But that does not preclude you from talking to the director and through the employees through the director. Does that make sense?
Yes. And does anybody have any questions on Mr. Machado's comment? Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. When we were revising the bylaws for the board, the library board, there was a clause about we had the ability to remove a member of the board, and I believe that was removed, from the bylaws after consultation with you.
I'm not aware of that. That must have been done when I wasn't here.
Oh,
But I,
it's in 2021.
okay, I don't believe I was here then.
I just wondered if the board itself has that right to remove.
Well,
members.
it depends what your bylaws say.
Yeah, well, I
And-
think it's out of
And
there.
if, there'd be one question would be, do your bylaws allow that? And number two, do the state statutes
Right.
governing the library boards allow that? And I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to review your bylaws and then the statutes that govern that.
Okay,
If you'd
thank
like,
you.
I can
Mr.
do that.
Machado, we're going through that process right now. We're updating our bylaws right now. Mr. Vandervolts is going to make a small presentation, but we're going to discuss it formally in January. And after we finish with those revisions, it goes to Danitza, who takes it to you, then it comes back to us again.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's do it like that. And then at that time, then we'll compare it with your bylaws to the statutes and make sure they all conform. And then we'll take it from there.
Okay, any other questions? Mr. Delsey?
Yes, when we got notice of Jerry's dismissal, it came as a direct letter from the director. And it surprised us because no problem had ever been presented to us as a group about Jerry's behavior. And all we knew is that Jerry's contributions were very positive. And we found his dismissal very direct and offensive. And my impression and our discussions led to the fact that was the director targeting members of Friends to be part of this board. And we've had 3 members of Friends removed from the board because of that action. I tried to get to meet with Danitza and have not been able to connect with her to discuss any particular problems about the situation. And it reaches the point now where we need to have a dialogue to be able to see if, in fact, members of Friends, which is very supportive of the library system and our participation in the library board, are being particularly targeted for removal from this board.
Oh, okay. I don't, Mr. Delsey, I don't agree with your word dismissal. The dismissal is an inappropriate term to use here because there was nothing involved with dismissing Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith was given a concern that was placed to the library director from employees. She wrote everything down, talked it over with the city manager as appropriate, and then presented it to Mr. Smith to make a decision. Mr. Smith made the decision that he wanted to resign. That's his decision to make. But as far as Friends of the Library has completely nothing to do with this. This board has nothing to do with the Friends of the Library. The library board is an independent board separate from this board. That some members here that sit on this board all simultaneously sit on the Friends of the Library is a coincidence. So I don't think there's any targeting or anything like that happening in any manner whatsoever.
I'll look forward to meeting with the director and look over the entire situation because it's affecting us very directly.
But it is separate of it. Ana?
Okay. So I am a friend of the library.
And I have not felt any repercussions from the staff or from the director. Whoops. However, I'm a friend of Jerry's also, and this information is new except for, the letter of resignation. But I know as a friend of Jerry's that his plans are to travel, and then he's involved in a couple of other voluntary functions in the community, and it can be overwhelming. I have not spoken to Jerry, but I just know that within his volunteer work and his travel, he mentioned that in a casual conversation that it's hard. It's hard to volunteer and be at all places at all times. And as a member of Friends, I would like, as a friend of the library, for him to be more active in Friends if he's going to chop off some of his volunteer work, because we need him there too.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Juanita, did you have anything else? Okay. Anything else from anybody? Mr. Vanderbilt?
Yes, one last addendum to this subject is that now we have a vacancy on the board, but I would urge the board to refrain from appointing a new member until the bylaws have been reviewed, because we're adjusting the bylaws and specifically on the number of board members. It's a little bit vague at the moment. We're going to try and tighten that up. And so until we review and approve the bylaws, I would ask that we refrain from appointing a new member to the board.
Okay. Mr. Machado, can you help me with Mr. Vanderbilt's statement there? He says us appointing. My contention is we do not appoint anybody. The mayor and council appoint, or the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors appoint.
I don't know what your existing bylaws state in connection with appointments and vacancies. If they state A, they can be revised and state B, as long as the state statutes allow that. So without knowing what's allowed right now, who makes those appointments, there's no way. But I think certainly from a practical point of view, I think what Mr. Vanderbilt says is very logical. If you're going to be revising the bylaws, wait until they're revised before you get somebody on board. But that's entirely your decision.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Vanderbilt?
Well, quoting the bylaws, it says, quote unquote, the names of prospective trustees may be recommended to the city and or county by the Board of Trustees. So referring then to my previous comment, that the board refrain from recommending to the city or county.
Right.
Not
Recommend, not
withdraw the word appointment and recommending.
Right.
Because
Okay. Now that I agree with. Recommendation, but not an appointment. The term should be clarified there. There's no misleading. Anna?
We're going to have this conversation later on the agenda,
Yes,
aren't we?
yes.
Okay, so then I will not comment.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Mr. Machado, thank you very much for taking the
You're very
time to
welcome.
help us out to
All right,
make sure we
you're
go
very
in the right direction. Thank you, Mr. Kissinger. Okay, let's move on to items 2 on the agenda. Sonoy, the library building update. Juan and Mary?
Could I use the computer? I
Yes,
wanted to share
Go right ahead.
some photos with you guys. Sure. Not exactly sure.
While we're waiting right here, I just want to introduce a new board member here, Santos Yescas. Welcome to our board, Santos. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Put on USB?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is,
Oh, got it. Start up here. Perfect. Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, Juan.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to have photos, but we were able to get into the building yesterday. to take some photos. So the last time I was here, I had kind of mentioned that we had kind of run into an issue with the floor, the leveling of the floor. Once we started taking some of the walls down, the contractor noticed that the floor was not even, right?
Right.
So the county made the decision to make it right, to go ahead and level that whole main library part out, so everything is kind of even. And we were hoping that it didn't delay anything, but it has kind of pushed things out about 15 days. So we're looking at mid-January at this point, before the contractor finishes their work. And that was due to they had to go in and grind some of the floor down, and that created a bunch of dust. So it kind of delayed the painting, so on and so forth. But they're making good headway. So that's kind of the bad news, I guess, that I bring today, right? But it's only 15 days, that are kind of pushing us into the new year. So just kind of wanted to show you guys some photos. Not sure which one. Sorry. Oh. That. And I know that the other item that we usually touch on is the internet. So the internet, the port is active by CenturyLink. We haven't been in there to deploy our equipment as of yet. So I'm hoping to do that within the next couple of days here, depending, with the holidays and all that. But definitely before the library is open, we'll have that in place already. We already have all the equipment. It just needs to get deployed. But because of the floor situation, we haven't really been able to access the building the last few days. So yeah, just a quick little PowerPoint, just stuck some photos on there. So so they're not the best photos here, but so as you guys can see, so they had to kind of re-level some of these floors. Some of these floors they had to kind of come out with leveling agent, like 20 feet, to make a smooth transition into the additional part. So this what you're looking at here is the hallway that was opened up. This used to be the kitchen. So this goes into the back part, which there's a community or visitor center, sorry. And then there's some additional restrooms that were built out. And then the sheriff's office has an office back there. This is the visitor center, sorry. Visitor center. So this is the library, right? Looking at what used to be the old, on your left is the sheriff's old office. And then to your right was some offices. And then to the left, that wall over there, you can't really see, there is a little conference room on that side. So this is kind of the whole area that needed to be grinded down and leveled out. So we kept the mural there as it was. Oh. So those were the few images that we had. I'm not sure if anybody had any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Juan. Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thank you. Well, you alluded to the point I was going to bring up, and that is a follow-up by the county IT department and on the activation of the internet. And this has been a 4-year project, and We've overcome CenturyLink evidently. We've got their work done. The contractor's moving forward. I would just hate for any delays to occur by the county itself. So in respect to, so what I'm asking is for you to schedule the IT department to activate the internet promptly and judiciously so that we can, when we have the grand opening, we can tell everybody it's complete and it's ready to go.
Okay, noted.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Juan, I didn't hear your response to that.
Noted.
You have everything ready then?
Yeah. Like I mentioned, we have the equipment ready.
Okay.
But the building has been open, so we didn't want to leave equipment there while it was under construction. So
So we could honestly say that when we have that grand opening, whenever that is scheduled for, everything will be in place.
yes, unless again something.
That was a hesitant yes.
I mean, trust me, I don't like to make promises. So, I mean, we will try our best. And I was involved in this project, 7 months, right? Like pretty much everything that I've kind of promised you guys, I've kind of delivered. So,
Okay.
I will try my best. But again, things happen. So,
We understand. Okay. Mr. Delsey.
Yes, in my area, which is primarily rural, the internet services have been deficient by a lot of the comments of that area. And I'm wondering to what extent the improvements in Sonoita will be impacting the entire rural area of that region.
you're asking like the whole entire.
Right.
I mean, the county's working towards more of a comprehensive kind of plan towards the whole region out there. I know that.
Right.
We previously worked on a grant application to get funding for that area. Unfortunately, the state kind of ran out of money and they had to kind of cut some funding because of an overlapping project that was kind of being stood up. So as I understand, and this was done through the E-rate program at the state level, where they deployed microwave internet in that area. As I understand, school-age children, they were going to get internet for like $10 a month. I know that last I checked, there was maybe 15 students that had kind of signed up for that. But the vendor that they had gone out there had capacity to resell to additional folks that wanted that. So again, as I understand, that there is some capacity out there. But we do continue to look at that area and see how we can improve it. The county, again, can improve
Services.
additional stuff, right? So one of the other things that we're looking at is now that we have a decent internet in that building, is if the county stands up a tower, we'll be able to provide even more services. So we'll get there. That's a phase that we're currently looking at. So maybe within 6 months, we'll know more on that front.
So that rural area remains in focus.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Juan, what about that, just as a springboard to Mr. Delsey's comment, what about Governor Ducey, the millions of dollars he set for that orange optic line that has been coming down the I-10, and I think it was going toward Patagonia. What happened to that line?
So the conduit is in place. There was so the Sun Corridor. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Sun Corridor. They operate quite a bit of fiber for. It's a joint venture between the universities. That's how it kind of started. But they operate some of the fiber in Arizona. So they were kind of awarded the management task of bringing service providers. Then I kind of heard that it was going to get awarded to somebody else. Now I think it's in combination with the public-private partnership. So again, the conduits in the ground is just who's going to bring fiber down I-19, right? So the Cox, the CenturyLinks, the ISPs. So I'll go back. I do have a note on a date, and I'll need to get back to you on the day when they were going to award that the management portion of it. So, and that's just the people that are going to manage it. They're going to just kind of award again to these service providers, and that's going to allow us or the county to bring additional capacity into the area, right? So currently CenturyLink offers DSL and things like that, but they can only offer you a certain amount of bandwidth because of the capacity issues into the county. So that's going to improve that, but also be able to kind of, again, springboard into the communities that don't have anything at the moment. So again, we're working with the state on a few initiatives on that. So as a matter of fact, you'll probably hear a little bit more in the coming months, trying to address it's something called a challenge, right? So service providers say they deliver a certain speed, but they really don't. So we're going to start challenging those here. So a little bit off topic, but we're working on it.
Okay, but we are interested in that one. If maybe you guys could give us another update next month on that. See if those service providers that got in the contract or whatever.
Yeah, I'll try to find out if yeah, because this is being run at the state level, so they just kind of give us information. But we'll try to find out a little bit more information.
Thank you, Juan. Mr. Delcy, have you completed your statements?
Yes.
Thank you. Biana. Okay. Mr. Yescas, Santos Yescas. This is a time if you have any comments or questions for the presenter for you to make. I mean, that's okay. We know you're new, so you can just say, I have no comments or questions.
The only comment that I have is that I've been working in the rural community too in Amado, and it's always an issue, the internet, the connectivity, and it's something that we need to work and see what opportunity we can find to improve those areas.
Yeah.
But this is my only comment.
Thank you. I think he's going to give that one. We'll try to enhance that presentation for next month. Ana.
Yes. Juan, you said you've been working on this for 7 months, and I understand that. But with the Santa Cruiser, we have not been able to get a port so that we could circulate books out of the Santa Cruiser unless unless every library is closed. And then we just use the main library system. Since Sonoita is closed, then there's an open port that we could possibly use on the Santa Cruiser. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, because what would you like to be able to provide to the county is a mobile library that circulates books, so that right now Sandra's the main library collects all the books from the Santa Cruiser and returns them there. So instead of doing that, because we do that with the Patagonia library too, that is not part of our system. So, so my question is, and I know you're not going to answer it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Like, how much longer before the Sonoita system is up? A month, 2 months, 3 months?
By system, you mean the internet?
Yeah, the circulation part of the when the books are in and they're circulating books, when do we expect that to happen?
That sounds like a Denitza question, maybe?
Pardon me?
That sounds like a Denitza question, I think. I'm not.
I mean, when will the library be open?
Well, the question, Juan, is basically not a Danitza for basic work implementation. It's an infrastructure question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It gets back to Mr. Vanderbilt's point. When is a system going to be set up, the infrastructure, so when they walk in, they're able to use all their catalogs and everything on the internet? That's what it is.
Okay.
Like you always said, I'm not going to make any promises, but we're going to do the best we can to make sure it's connected.
Right. So, so the contractor is scheduled to finish the 15th,
The 15th of
January.
January. Okay.
We try not to get in their way. At the moment, it's their building. Like we ask when we're coming out there, right? Like it's their building at the moment. So, we will, try to get it up in parallel as they're working, right? So I'm hoping by the 15th, by the time they're done, right? And at that point, we need to start scheduling. I already started talking to maintenance about, cleaning because it created a lot of dust. We got to go in there and start dusting and doing, moving racks back in. So, that's kind of dependent on maintenance's, availability. But I don't have like when it's going to be open. I mean, that's again, more of a library thing,
Well, it's a good enough, thank you. It's a good enough ballpark so that we can go back to the county school superintendent's office and maybe play with the fact that that port is available so that maybe we can see how it works to be able to have a circulatory system like all the other libraries at the Santa Cruzer, the mobile library, because eventually the city of Nogales is going to take it over. And, when our grant almost died, but it didn't, but it will die the 30th of September. So at that point, the city of Nogales will be taking over the mobile library. And at that point, we would hope there would be a circulation library and not, an outside library like Patagonia. So your information is very helpful because that would give us time, even during the holidays, because we're not off during the holidays, but the kids are off. So if we could experiment with using the mobile library as a circulatory system for the library system, then we can start setting up places where the library can be constantly. I know Elgin has asked us to park out there at their school, because that's their center of their community center, and be able to have their whole Sonoyta Elgin community use it as a library, especially right now because they don't have one. And on the Nogales Highway and the Country Club, you have the two communities. I'm really sorry, I don't know the names of those communities. The ones on the west side of the road and the ones on the east side of the road that also would love to have access to the library. So if we created a schedule having that circulatory system, maybe we can better serve the community. Also, like Monte Carlo, if we had a date and a time that we would be there, the people there could not just check books out that will be returned through the library system, but we can have a full circulatory library where people can turn in their books and get their books checked in. People can get their library cards. Just be a great partner with the library system. So I appreciate your ballpark, because that might give us time to practice this other system.
Right. Yes. So the 15th is, again, if there's no additional delays, right? Things came up during the process, during the construction, and again, the contractor was great. They still kept the schedule, although we did face some challenges, right? But this one was a little different just because it kind of got them out of sync. I don't suspect, right? famous last words, though. So I don't suspect anything. I mean, they're in the final throes of it, right? So I don't suspect anything else, but you never know.
We understand there. Anything else, Miss? No. Okay, Juanita?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you, Juan, and we'll look forward to your presentation in January, and then we'll be able to get more of a detail and pinpoint there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary Dahl, for coming also, very much. Okay, I'm just noticing right now that we did not list Lieutenant Bermudez for his security report on the agenda. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to item 4 on the agenda, the call to the public. And I'm going to call Lieutenant Bermudez to come up under the call to the public just to make a presentation. Remember, under this presentation, under the call to the public, you cannot ask questions or anything. All we can do is listen to his presentation. Sorry about that. I just noticed when I saw your face that it was left out, but we'll make sure it's on there for the January meeting. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. Lieutenant Bermudez, Nogales PD. There was not too many incidents to report at the library this month. Pretty much the same as the past couple of months. Suspicious people hanging out after hours. Our officers go make contact with them and have them move on from the area if they don't have any business, official business at the library, or if they're not there for any particular reason that they could stay. Our officers ask them to move on, especially if it's after hours. So there was maybe about 5 or 6 incidents where officers go make contact with the subject and have them move on. About 3 of them happen after hours, I would say after 12. So they're hanging out late at night, primarily to use chargers for their devices. So that's most of what they see, that we see out there. People use the chargers and try to get access to one of the outlets there to charge their devices. But for the most part, our officers have been going there, providing security checks and making sure that if there's any suspicious people that they're not there.
Okay, Lieutenant Bermudez, thank you very much. We'll list you down under the open meeting law. No member of the board can ask you a question under the call to the public, but we'll make sure you're listed on the agenda for our January meeting, which will be on January the 10th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Move on to item 3 on the agenda, nomination of secretary. When we discussed this, Biana Rodriguez was interested in being the secretary for this board, correct, Biana? So I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to name Biana Rodriguez as the secretary of the board.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Vanderbilt, second by Ana Don to name Biana Rodriguez secretary of the board. Discussion? Objections? Motion carried. Congratulations, Biana. And now move on to item 4, the Santa Cruiser update. Biana?
Hi, everybody. So I gave everybody a little packet,
Yes.
which is just a little bit so everybody can see what anybody or all students receive once they go onto the bus. So you'll each see that you have couple of bookmarks. Each student gets a couple different bookmarks for whenever they need it. I provided some flyers as well for everybody to share in case if they know of any other event or any program that you may think of where the literacy bus could be a good fit. I shared that as well, and as well as some picture collages so you see what our setup looks like on the inside, the outside with the books, our bean bags, And then on the other page, you'll find pictures of the activities that we've done with students and parents. So you'll see a couple of students reading, you'll see some art activities, some group activities. We did some with the fire department, so just a variety of everything that we do. I also shared the Simply E flyer in case anybody needed a Simply E flyer that you can access with your library card. And I wanted to give some numbers of the whole year of 2023 of all the students that we had. We had a total of 2,717 students use the literacy bus and visit us, and a total of 275 parents were involved as well. And so, yeah, if anybody has any questions about the literacy bus, please contact me, or if you think of anything that we could be included in, please let me know.
Thank you, Bianna. Mr. Vanderbilt?
Thank you. A couple questions. In an email with Denise Lopez, she alluded to this. The funding for this, the bus comes from the county superintendent of schools. Is that correct?
Yes, through the ESSER 3 grant.
Great. And to your knowledge, is that funding ongoing or for 1 year at a time, or is it?
Yes, it's ongoing.
2 or 3 period?
We're on the 3rd year of it, and it ends on September 30th of 2024.
So then it would have to be renewed, a new source of funding, or?
A different source, yeah.
Correct. And could you give me a rough idea, if you know, the total budget for the operation on an annual basis? I mean, ballpark figure, 100,000, 50,000, you know, how much is the grant or program funded for?
The entire grant, or just?
If you know. Do you have any?
We were first awarded for 5.6 million, and we have 6 different programs that were a part of that. And then it was cut through the Department of Education, where we had to make huge cuts down to where we were left with a little under 2 million within the.
But that's for several.
Yeah, for
I'm
the
just
6
referring to the
programs.
bus itself.
I don't have an estimate number for that.
You know, Ms. Stone?
I think the budget for the Santa Cruiser is someplace between $40,000 and $60,000 a year. That includes, you know, the books, the maintenance. To upgrade the bus itself, it used to be it belonged to the juvenile department, through the sheriff's office. So the upgrade of the bus itself was over $100,000. But then from there, there's, you know, just a yearly budget for books and maintenance and stuff that's between 40 and 60,000. Well, it was, and as Brianna says, because of the cuts, I have not been told how much was cut from there, but I think they tried to keep it as full as possible to be able to serve the county.
But that's $60,000. Bianna, don't you oversee that program with the bus?
Yes, but there was a lot of changes, and they're still within working out the final numbers of we're gonna.
Okay, because
Have
there's still
budgeted for
personnel. And my point is, beyond that $60,000, there's personnel involved to answer Mr. Vanderbilt's point. So we got to add at least one person that oversees the program.
Yeah.
So a ballpark figure you could say is probably going to be about $100,000 with everything.
Sounds like it. To me, this appears to be a program where it might be slow getting off the ground the first year, second year, but as it does get off the ground and gains the rhythm and gets out to Elgin School and the other locations you mentioned in the city of Nogales, people are going to appreciate it and expect it.
Yes.
And, you know, and when this funding concludes in 2024, we're all going to have to help assist the governmental entities in the area to find the sources for it, because I can see it can be a really, in the long run, this is going to be a really, really fantastic program.
Well, one of those things, Mr. Vanderbilt and members of the board, is that since the city of Nogales will take over that on October the 1st of 2024, we could go ahead and put that in our budget when we recommend to the mayor and council that we're going to take over this. Because remember, if it's cost $100,000 and we put it down in our budget, that means that the city's putting $50,000 and the county's putting automatically the other 50. So just something to think about when you people, I won't be here, but when you're working on the budget about this Santa Cruiser on there so that you know you're going to take it over. So have the money in the budget to take it over on October the 1st, 2024.
Even better reason to be analyzing the budget now.
Yes.
Because I know Ms. Lopez begins putting her budget together like in February to send it to the city by maybe April to be approved in June. So don't delay, just start thinking about it.
Good point, so everybody can think about it. So,
Thank you.
all right, I'm going to move on now. Is there anything else? Thank you, Biana. Let me move on to item 5, future board meetings at branch libraries. Mr. Vanderbilt?
Thank you. Well, we did this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We attempted to have board meetings in the different libraries, and now we have 3 new members, recent members. I don't know, you, Mr. Verona, have you been to the county libraries or not? But whether you have or haven't, it would be an excellent opportunity for everybody to see the libraries. Of course, Sonoyta will be the last because we're under construction. The only obstacle is the recording of the minutes because we don't have access to the city offices.
Right.
But or teleconferencing or live streaming the meeting, but that might be sacrificed so that the board members have an opportunity to see the, so I would really, this probably will be further conversation the next meeting in January, but coordinate it with Mrs. Lopez, but I really think it's valuable for everybody to see the libraries.
Well, on your comments, let me comment on your comments. I'm in agreement with it. I just don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. Biana's going to have to agree that during these meetings at the branch library, she's going to have to take down the minutes and then bring her minutes to Judy to help her put it together, because Judy's the expert on all of this. So there's going to be some getting out of your comfort zone on all of this. We won't be able to tell the people that the meeting is on live for them to look at. But here again, I agree, getting out is very helpful. It gives the people an opportunity. Sometimes when I've tried this with the Santa Cruz County Provisional Community College to go outside, our attendance at the meetings was horrendous until we gave up because nobody was really coming. So, I mean, we can give it a shot, but when we have our meetings, sometimes it's difficult for people to attend our meetings at that time. It's easier for them to turn on their telephone and watch the meetings on their telephone than if anything else. But Mr. Vanderbilt, you're requesting that we discuss this in our January meeting?
More specifically, yes, please.
Okay, so would you make sure that that gets on our January meeting, Karina, please?
Yes. I have a question.
Juanita?
Yes. Are the other libraries equipped with, can they film and put it on YouTube or not? Do you, I mean, the other libraries are equipped with the
I don't
internet,
know.
and
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be a possibility that we could just, and then Brianna could review the tape, the film, or we could record it. In the past, I have found those to be very helpful for the board to get to know the staff at all the libraries and see what's going on. It's just kind of a good way to build confidence.
Well, I think visiting the library, the staff itself, they've all been here to make presentations on all of the individual libraries, so we know the staff. But to get out over there
Yeah.
and have, if in case anybody within that area wants to come and see our board meeting in person, that's their opportunity. I'm going to move on now. Is there anything else? Mr. Delsey?
Yes, on the same issue. Well, could I suggest that if we decide to have these area visits to the branch libraries, that we might consider the cruiser to carpool Nogales folks, which are more numerous, to go to the.
I think that'd be a liability for them.
Yeah, we wouldn't, it would be able to, there's only one seat in the bus.
Oh, well, that takes care of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on to item 6 on the agenda now, expansion of Rio Rico Library. Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thank you. Well, I walked through the Rio Rico Library yesterday, and it was my impression that for the use that it gets currently, it's of ample size. There's room for more stacks. The library employees have been in it. There's room for more stacks. There's actually, you could put some couches in it if somebody wanted to sit on a couch and read a book. So for the current use, it appears to be of sufficient size. But when I sat back and reflected that Rio Rico is a community of 25,000 people, it is not large enough. So this is kind of one of those subjects where build it and they will come. I mean, when the Pope built the Sixtine Chapel, he didn't think, it might have been a little bit grandeur for that time, but now it gets a lot of use. So I would like to continue in the idea of the expansion of the library. Now, the Rio Rico Library is in a county building with a big vacant office right next door, where the flood control district, Mr. John Hayes, was previously footage there. What I would encourage the library director to do is arrange a tour of the library and that vacant building with the pertinent county officials, perhaps Mary Dahl. I would include Supervisor Bracker, perhaps, and Supervisor Malera, because those are their districts, and just walk the building and dream and see if we could reach a consensus, because I know that's how things starts with dreams. We'll walk it and see if we think an expansion is viable. So I would encourage the library director to schedule this walkthrough with these officials and any other members of the board that would like to participate too, if you'd like to see the Rio Rico Library, and dream and can see and build a concept for the expansion of the Rio Rico Library.
Okay, questions or comments for Mr. Vanderbilt? Okay, Mr. Vanderbilt.
I just had one thing to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, perhaps we could time that with one of our meetings. We could.
Yeah, we could have a
Yeah, we
tour
could
of the
collaborate
building before
all the-
the meeting. Yeah, absolutely.
Could have some input.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Vanderbilt, so what do you want me to?
I will contact the library director. I guess she's out most of this week.
She's out on a medical appointment right now.
So I'll just send her an email and get the ball rolling and organize that.
Okay.
That tour of the
And
building.
if you want it on the agenda for January, make sure you tell her.
I shall.
Okay. We're going to move on now to item 7, Library Friends Update. Mr. Delsey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Friends of the Library are pleased to have been able to contribute budget-wise for the centennial
Time capsule.
time capsule that we had at the library last week. Worked out beautifully. It had a
did.
good community reflection. And unfortunately, none of us are going to be around for 100 years.
I
see
don't
what
know.
it really meant.
I may be.
No. But anyway, we were more than happy to support that effort. In addition, we have a request from Anna for the additional rural or street level library cabinets that are being promoted by one of our high school senior students
Senior project.
in their senior project. And I think that's going to be very helpful to give it a base. It's a good experiment to work with, and it's encouraging. The cabinet that was provided to us by the Santa Fe Ranch Foundation that we have at the Safeway store has been very active. Marva and I have continuously during the week replaced books and kept that operational. And Safeway has been very cooperative. And as we get the others built by the foundation, then we will distribute them likewise. I've used the collection of donated books at the storage in Tubac to be able to have replacement books to put in. So it's worked out real well. And I'm glad that the Friends has been able to support it.
Okay.
So thank you.
Any comments for Mr. Delsey?
Yes, I'd like to add that I distributed the list of the donors
Yes, you
that donated to the Friends to make it possible for the Friends to pay for some of the centennial aspects. And this will be on a plaque that's going to be
Good.
installed at the library, I think below maybe the statue. So you all have a list. This is the up-to-date list from Marva.
Thank you. Anna?
The high school student, Camila Castañeda, is also finished her first free library and gave it to the Colegio Petit, which is on Morley Avenue. And she had donated books to place there. and she's working with a high school carpenter teacher to put legs on it because they have it inside the building and they want to take it outside the building, but neighborhood dogs, it's too low, too friendly for neighborhood dogs. So, but she's, this high school student is just incredible. And she's the one that, and her friends are working on the other libraries.
Okay. I think at the Centennial, Mr. Delsey, I recognize your efforts and the efforts of the Friends of the Library and what they've done and what they've helped during the Centennial and all of that. I think
a good support base.
I think that we all recognize the value of the Friends of the Library, and I just want to make sure that there's no concept here at this meeting that anybody on the board is being targeted or anything like that, because there's no place for that kind of behavior by anybody individually or collectively to behave in that kind of a manner. It's unacceptable to behave like that. So you are friends, like you indicate, and I value everything that you've done to promote literacy in our Santa Cruz County. So please don't believe that, and I don't like the terms targeted, used, or anything like that, though, either. I think it's very condescending, and there's no room for that kind of behavior, not by the library or anybody. Okay, we're going to move on now. Bylaw revisions for January meeting. Mr. Vanderbilt?
Thank you. Ms. Lopez told me she'd received from 3 or 4 board members suggestions, comments, observations about the bylaws.
Yes, I did.
But she has not given them to me, so I don't know what she has received nor from whom. So I guess I'll just have to go back to her and ask her for copies, and then all I'm going to do is kind of make a compendium, a synopsis of it, and I'll present it to the board before we take it to the city attorney. It'll need the board's at least consensus or approval beforehand. So leave this on the agenda for the January meeting, and I'll try and have more firm information by then.
Okay, as far as the bylaws itself is concerned, when you're ready to present it, but I do agree with Mr. Vanderbilt that the position of Mr. Smith and my position should not be addressed until we have finalized the bylaws. Does everybody just concur with that on this board? If you don't, tell me now. Yes, Mr. Vanderbilt?
Well, let me explain to the new board members who probably have not had an opportunity to read these bylaws, but one of the clarifications that needs to be made is, let me find it. Here it is. Quote, "There shall be at least 8 library trustees." So that means there could be 8 or 80 or 800, at least 8. That needs to be
Clarified.
redefined.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, we can do all.
Yeah, no, okay, for one. Another subject to be considered is the way it states is that there are representations from, county representations from Rio Rico, Tubac, and Sonoita, and a member at large. And right now, to my knowledge, the only county representatives are Juanita and myself. There is nobody from Rio Rico. Are you a county rep?
I'm a member at large.
You're a member at large.
However, through the school superintendent's office, I serve the entire county.
Good. Well, that's 3, but we should be able to identify a 4th in
Yes.
the future.
Okay, but I think you just need to work with Anita and get those changes, The easiest way to do it, through my experience, is get the document and then the proposed changes, put them in a red line, underline it, so everybody can see what we're talking about with that.
Understood.
Okay, we're gonna close this up, Ana?
Yeah, one of Brian's comments was, the size of Rio Rico versus the size of Nogales. And so my recommendation was to increase the number of representatives from Rio Rico because the population is higher than the population of Nogales. And I think by doing that, we may be able to get more participation in the Rio Rico Library because they have the higher population.
But it doesn't work like that, though. The supervisors have 3 for the unincorporated areas, and the city has it for the incorporated area of the city of Nogales. So we're not talking about Rio Rico. We're talking about the unincorporated areas of Rio Rico. We don't consider Patagonia because they're incorporated. Also, though, too, and so is the city of Nogales. That's the only two communities that are incorporated in Santa Cruz County. So it isn't like to increase it because there's more people in it. That's not what it's about. It's about the incorporated areas versus, and I will tell you that the mayor and council would not agree to our bylaws like that the county has more representatives than the city, though, either. Because it's a 50-50 financial split. Now, if they get one more member, does it mean that now it's a 60-40 split? And we don't want to get into that, okay? So, all right. So anything else? Karina, you'll make sure that that's on the agenda? Yes. And we'll leave it up to you to take care of that.
Well, we do need to find, when we review new applicants' recommendations, representative from Rio Rico, because right now there are none. Are you living in Rio Rico, Brianna? Oh, I apologize, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, good, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay.
Okay, but here again, every supervisor gets to pick somebody. For the 3 members, each supervisor picks somebody. But even though one supervisor is not a part of the unincorporated area, he's basically, his constituents are from the incorporated area. But that, I don't know if they pass it off. But those 3 people, all 3 of those people can be from Sonoita, okay? If they choose it that way. It isn't that there has to be somebody from Rio Rico, or there has to be somebody from Sonoita, or there has to be somebody from Elgin. Whomever the supervisors decide to pick, whoever they can find or they find qualified. I don't think that they look at the area, but that's their business. That's not our business, okay?
That have to be changed then in our bylaws, because our bylaws specify that we have one each from the county, the unincorporated.
The unincorporated areas. Well, maybe we need to be more specific with it on that.
It is
and that.
specific,
Because what we don't want to do is get into a hand tussle with any member of the Board of Supervisors, okay? We're not in that business to get into a hand tussle with them. But if we can say, these are our bylaws, when we approve them, we give a copy to the mayor and council, and we give a copy to the Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisors so they understand how we're functioning. Okay, I'm going to move on now to item number 9, discussion of possible action to approve the minutes of October the 11th, 23, and November the 14th, 23 also. The minutes for November the 14th of this year are pending review. I set them aside so Brianna has a time to review them and make a recommendation. But we're going to go ahead and deal with October the 11th, 2023. Brianna, go ahead. You can. It's you as secretary that makes the motion to approve it.
I motion to approve the minutes of October 11th.
Okay, there's a motion
Second.
to approve the minutes of October the 11th, 2023 as presented, seconded
A second.
by Juanita. Discussion?
No problem.
Objections? Motion carried. And remember that the November minutes are pending review. We're going to go down to the library director's report, the time capsule. Karina?
Thank you. On behalf of the library and library director, I want to thank you all for being part of the time capsule ceremony. It was beautiful. We had a good time just making history. And I really want to thank all of you for being there. Also mayor, council member, superintendent, Consulado de Mexico, staff. I just really don't want to miss anyone, but thank you all for being there and being part of the library. I know we're not going to be here in 100 years, but I mean, or hopefully our children's, grandchildren's are part of this, and just take a look back of what was the library before, and also just thank the donors for bringing their stuff, their belongings, because they're valuable. We are part of the newspaper, so we are everywhere. You guys want to take a look? I have it up here. So yes, we're making history, and it was a beautiful ceremony. So thank you all for being there.
And it's more great grandchildren, not grandchildren, but great grandchildren that we're gonna look for. Okay, item 2, December activities at library, Santa Claus visit, Rio Rico Arts and Crafts, the teen Christmas dinner, books and gifts. Karina?
Yeah, so for that, we have Laura Rodriguez, the children's coordinator, and Victor, the teens coordinator, who will be talking about this more
Okay.
in detail. Good morning. I'm gonna pass it out. Okay. So I passed some pictures of our Christmas event. We had a Christmas event last week for the children's area. We have approximately 250 people between children and their parents. We bring Santa from Sahuarita and to spend some time with the kids, take a picture with them. We also have candies, piñata, hot chocolate, cookies. It was a very, very pretty event at the Nogales Library. And we during the whole month we are having art and crafts activities, story time, Lego time once a week. And we also have some activities at the Rio Rico Library too, different dates. And that's it from my department, like the children's area.
Okay.
Con permiso. Bueno, antes que nada les quiero pedir una disculpa. Para mí es un poco más fácil expresarlo un poquito en español. Pues más que nada lo que vengo aquí yo a decirles, aquí les voy a pasar unas hojas en el cual ahorita estamos, nosotros ahorita en Circulation estamos haciendo una rifa. Todos los días se hace una rifa a diferentes horas, todo este mes en el que estamos cruzando. Entonces, por lo regular aquí...
Son rifas de libros.
Son diferentes tipos de rifas. Damos audífonos, libros, dulces, un poquito de todo, ¿no? Entonces, aquí en las hojas que les voy pasando... van a poder ver que aquí hay un lugarcito donde uno es como un cajoncitos que van sacando y es lo que van ganando dependiendo de lo que vayan escogiendo, ¿no? Es como sorpresa. Bueno, eso es por parte de Circulation. También hay otras cositas que tienen ahí. Ahora lo que yo les vengo a platicar es un poquito de mi área, pues como se habrá notado, pues mi área es un poco nueva. Ha habido varias actividades y aquí también les voy a pasar un poco de las actividades, nomás repasando un poco del mes de octubre. Pues hubo una actividad aquí de Halloween, si gustan pasar, nomás tengo una hoja, si no me gustan pasan para que vayan viendo. En esta actividad los muchachos se vistieron de Halloween, de diferente, hubo premios. Hubo una actividad del juego de sillas, de mesas, en el cual hubo 3 ganadores diferentes. Se les dio, no se aprecia bien la foto, pero se ve cuando tienen el premio, que es una camiseta que se ganaron en la actividad. Los muchachitos se mostraron muy contentos. También hubo otra actividad que en toda la biblioteca pusimos cuervos. Entonces, los primeros muchachos que me encontraron los cuervos eran los que ganaban los premios, ¿no? Entonces me hizo una actividad muy padre, los muchachos estuvieron muy interesados, se estuvieron muy contentos y claro, pues un servidor también al verlos bien. Eso fue por parte de octubre. También tengo el honor de decirles que también estamos colaborando con Food Bank. También hay muchas actividades con ellos. Algo que se me hace muy importante, aquí les voy a pasar unas poquitas de fotos acerca de las actividades que hemos hecho con Food Bank. Con Lilia Ruiz, es una persona muy preparada, muy interesada en que los muchachos aprendan. De momento Al principio, pues los muchachos no iban muchos, más que nada iban personas adultas. Poco a poco, pues he visto que sí se han acercado un poco. Más que nada, la actividad con el Food Bank es, por ejemplo, tuvimos una que se llama Bombas de Semilla, en el cual fue un grupo muy pequeño, entre 6 y 10, 12 personas. Estuvimos ahí hace poco y se me hizo una actividad muy padre porque en el cual nosotros estuvimos haciendo, pues como tal, bombas de semillas, ¿no? Era como agarrar marcilla y ponerle semillas adentro. Incluso hasta la maestra Lilia nos hizo un comentario de, bueno, pues si tu vecino tiene muchas hojas, mucha basura de ese tipo, ¿por qué no le vas y le tiras una bomba de semilla? Y ya tú estás disfrutando, estás viendo cuando le vaya creciendo. Claro, hay muchos tipos de basura, pero en el caso de que sea basura, pues así de muchas hojas, pues se me hace algo muy interesante. También hemos tenido como trasplantes de maceteras, sembramos ahí incluso de la biblioteca y se me hace una actividad muy padre. Posiblemente vamos a seguir con eso. Incluso dos personas, dos muchachos, desde el primer día que entraron hasta hemos tenido como unas cuatro actividades de esas y desde la primera ellos están hasta la última. Me sorprendió verlas en la última actividad que me dio tanto gusto, pues qué bueno que sigan viniendo, que sepan, como les digo, eso sigue siendo un grupo chico, pues de la última actividad fueron entre 6, 10 o 12 más o menos, 6 mínimo, y se me hace pues algo que es muy importante, ¿no? También valorar. Tenemos actividades como Legos, hemos puesto videojuegos, películas y precisamente no tengo fotos de las actividades de este mes porque una es este día. Aquí les voy a pasar el flyer. Es la casita de jengibre. Todavía no tengo números ni nada porque es el día de hoy. Todas las actividades yo he estado viendo que muchos muchachos salen a las 12, otros muchachos salen hasta las 2. Entonces varía y yo como he visto como una media para darle posibilidad a los muchachos que a lo mejor salen hasta las 2 y no hacer las actividades a las 12. Entonces para que también tengan la oportunidad de asistir. Entonces, por lo regular, las actividades que vengo haciendo son después de las 2. Ya fui aprendiendo más o menos checar los horarios que estamos manejando. Entonces, pues esa es otra actividad que es la casita de jengibre. Es algo sencillo, práctico, que se me hace bonito pues para las festividades, ¿no? Como les digo, no todo me ha funcionado. Hay actividades como las de yoga que se me hacen muy importante. Esta no hubo resultado positivo, pero es algo que me gustaría hacer y para los adultos y seguir intentando a ver si en algún futuro a lo mejor haya más personas interesadas en hacer actividad de yoga. También tuve un poco de una actividad de telescopio que tampoco fue un resultado positivo, pero es algo que también me gustaría dar. Incluso se dieron hasta lentes, que la compañera dio muchos lentes en el área de niños. Yo también di unos pocos y yo quise abrir una actividad, pero no fue positiva, pero es algo que me gustaría seguir intentándolo y a ver qué más hay en un futuro. Entonces, y ya para mi última actividad de este mes, va a haber una pequeña posada donde va a ser diferentes juegos y a mí se me ocurrió una manera de integrar a los muchachos a la biblioteca. Yo inventé una actividad que se llama Encuentra el libro. Entonces es que, ¿sabes qué? Ocupó un libro non-fiction 628 que se llama Fulanito. El primero que me lo encuentre se va a ganar un premio. ¿Sabes qué? Ocupo que me busques un libro que se trate de magia. Ah, pues Harry Potter. Pues que vayan y el primero que me encuentre uno de magia se gana un premio. Entonces, eso es lo que va a ser mañana, es la actividad de mañana, me parece. Y más que nada, pues va a haber pizza, piñata. Es para que los niños se diviertan y que también aprendan cómo funciona la biblioteca. Cómo van a encontrar un libro. Más que nada, pues es lo que Es lo que estoy tratando de hacer y son mis ideas de momento y una de las cosas que me gusta hacer a mí porque yo puedo tener una idea y a lo mejor los muchachos no quieren eso. Siempre les pregunto a mis muchachos qué es lo que ellos quieren, qué es lo que ellos necesitan. Y incluso no sé si han ido y si algún día ustedes quieren ir ahí a mi área a platicar más o menos qué es lo que tengo, váyanse al área de atrás. Tengo un pizarrón. A veces yo les digo a mis muchachos que si hay algún libro, alguna película que nosotros no tengamos, lo pueden anotar. Muchos muchachos cuando les digo eso se les ilumina la cara de que quieren el libro. Más que nada, sobre todo los libros, me piden más libros que películas. De ver que pueden leer ese libro, que lo podemos pedir. Todo esto es gracias también a mis jefas que me dan la oportunidad de poder, ahora sí que poder pedir las cosas que necesitan los muchachos.
Okay, I think that there's a lot of excitement going on at the library, which is very nice that they're both doing a very good job. Karina, you also are doing an excellent job over there in your new position. I attended the Santa Claus. There were so many kids there. All the little ones were there. They were thrilled with Santa Claus. I think the only downfall of the Santa Claus deal is that they had a big pot of hot chocolate, and I wanted one. And by the time I got there, the pot was empty. So, but they had a wonderful with all the cookies, and then they just enjoyed themselves quite a bit. Does anybody have anything else, Ana?
I would just like to congratulate the whole library, but Victor and Laura are doing such an amazing job because I walk in and out. It's my neighborhood library. I walk in and out all the time, and there are always kids there. There are parents with their kids there. I really appreciate in the teenage section that you have a sign up. I mean, you have a sign up stating that only teenagers should be in that area, which means that the adults that have no business in that area should not be there. That's really
It's good.
important to take into account, that our young people be in a safe place and that the parents know that when they're in the library, they're in a safe place. But, I know when you do, oh my God, I love that find a book because I know that when we worked with the Teen Challenge before you were there, you'd have students trying to do research and they didn't know how to start to find a book. And so, how better to open the library up to the community to help them with a Dewey Decimal System and make it fun. So I congratulate all the library staff, but, there's always something going on and I really appreciate that. I love the library.
Okay, anything else? I'm going to move on now, Mr. Mr. Vanderbilt.
Can't escape. This is a general question to the library board since I was unable to ask the officer from the police department, being at the call to the public.
Right.
But I wonder, are there still issues at all with any homeless circulating around the library? It's winter. It's different than the summer climate. He referred to maybe 6 or 8 events, occasions, calls. Are there homeless circulating around the library at this time of year?
Karina?
We really don't have a number, but I see a decrease since last year. I think things are more calm this year. We haven't had an incident lately. So far, no numbers.
Thank you. That's all.
Sandra? Go up to the mic, Sandra. Sandra, go up to the mic. Yes. Otherwise, you can't speak.
Brianna. Thank you.
I think the homeless will be a problem because we're getting more homeless every time. The good thing in Nogales, it gets so cold, they usually move to Tucson and Phoenix. So during the winter, we have less problems than we do in the summer because in the summer, they come back. Mm-hmm. So our main problem with homeless usually is in the summer.
Okay. All right, that's a good point to make. All right, I'm going to move on. And Mr. Delsey.
No, my experiences with the library staff has always been very cooperative, and the extent of activity that you work with is encouraging, and I'm glad that it's a tremendous community outreach effort that further strengthens the library system that we have. So congratulations on your effort completely.
Okay.
Future agenda item. Okay, thank you. Thank you, the both of you. We're going to move on to future agenda items. Anna?
None.
Okay, Anna, if you need to leave,
I have to leave, yes.
you can leave now.
Thank you.
Juanita?
We already have the bylaws and the meetings at other libraries and Juan's report on the Sonoy Library, so I think we already have
Santos?
signed.
Okay, Biana? Mr. Delsey?
I'll update Friends.
Update on the
Activities.
friends. Okay. Mr. Vanderbilt?
Nothing beyond what's been previously mentioned in the meeting, and there's several that
Okay.
there.
The date of our next meeting is Wednesday, January the 10th. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 11:22. Motion by Anna on her way out, second by Juanita,
Will the meeting
to adjourn the meeting at 11:22. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.